2. Yeah. This is my normal talking voice. See, every now and then it goes like in and out of the volume.
Yeah. And so the reason being is this is very sensitive. You have to actually just point right into it.
Oh, damn, bro. Yeah, sounds good. You feel me? All right, here we go. All right, I can kind of do that, but let me know how the position is.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
Although the question I have for you later on is basically how you want to scale this.
Yes,
this requires fucking setting up.
We're gonna talk about that. We'll talk about that. Hell yeah. Post show. Oh, let me get through this.
Yeah, why do you how come on your end you sound hella good?
It's that deep voice, you know.
Yeah, I'm not used to that. I'll make sure that I sound good too. Bear on.
Boom, Tycoon Tactics, Season 3. We are here with a good friend of mine, JJ Casas.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, brother? Thank you for spending some time with me today, bro.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. So, if you guys don't know, JJ here probably is a world-renowned photographer, cinematographer. He's taking pictures of some crazy people.
World as in San Francisco, Daly City, bro. That's the world.
I guess. But, hey, I mean, if you could just, name drop maybe some of the where your art's been published, bro,
Well, I'm going to say right away the quickest way is because I was a DP, and that's a director of photography for Twitter for a couple of years. That was pretty much the funnest track that I've had in the last few years. So right away, top of my head right now is meeting with fucking Kobe Bryant before his unfortunate accident, right? Got to do that. Alicia Keys, Sophie Turner, Dwayne Wade, all of the artists and celebrities that you basically know. Had the privilege of kind of doing and producing for Twitter. So other than that, CEOs of different companies. That's the people that I usually work with for all the portrait stuff. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And I've seen your work, bro, and I was always impressed, man. And I know we met through it's actually my cousin that introduced us, right?
On, man.
Oh yeah, and you became my client when I was a trainer, bro.
You got to flash a photo. I still have it on my Instagram. I think that was my fittest before our wedding.
Yeah,
so
we was getting you ready for your wedding.
It was me, you, and Hubert.
Yep, exactly. What's up with Hubert, man? Last time I seen him, I ran into him in IKEA.
Hey. Yeah. Dude, he's in the crypto world, man.
Really?
You gotta check him out, and maybe you gotta get him on the show because
I'm gonna tap in with him.
He knows a lot more than I don't know in that world. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Well, the whole premise of this game, bro, is we're gonna go. I was inspired by two things. There's a show on YouTube, Hot Ones, where they eat chicken wings and get spicier as the questions go on, right? And then another thing that I was inspired by was this book called Your Next 5 Moves, and that book was inspired by grandmasters in chess that can think upwards of 15 moves ahead, right? And it's kind of applicable to business, right? Because there's certain sequencing and steps you have to take to make things happen, kind of like chess, right?
But the disclaimer here is that I think, to be honest, this is my first official game. I have my uncle who played with, my cousins. I just always felt intimidated. So
Damn, I can tell it was his first game because his queen...
Bro, I didn't even set that up, dude. But so we'll see. I'll be learning. I think this is a good parallel to business. I think you're gonna make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna try to be a step ahead. I'm probably not gonna be in this regard, but we'll see.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Okay, awesome, bro. Let's do this, bro. So let's go and start off with I'm gonna ask a question and then you're gonna make your move and then answer the question, right? And so you can only answer the question after you make your move, right?
Copy.
So from the top, what's your name? Where you from? And what do you do?
Cool. Let's just, you said 2. All right, so my name is JJ Casas. Took name with Cherry, by the way, so it's JJ Juma Casas from Daly City. Grew up here, never left. So that means I went to high school and college here. And as far as what I've been doing for the last few years is basically photographing and got into the whole video. So I don't really call myself like a full DP, but as far as my line of work, I technically have been doing that. So as a director of photography, but the bread and butter has always been portraits. So it's usually me with a camera and me just getting more cameras from there ever since high school.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. And then, so again, this show was inspired by the show on YouTube, Hot Ones, right? Off the top of your head, are you a flats person or a drums person?
Oh yeah. Okay, I don't even know. Okay, hold on. We gotta go back again to. Oh, this is diagonal, right? Mm-hmm. All right.
And then the only piece that can jump is actually the horse. So the horse can jump over pieces. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just assume we're gonna do that.
Boom. Good move.
You said flats or drums? Mm-hmm. I would say drums only because in high school I danced hip hop, and so I feel like that's usually the first beat that you're listening to. So that's me. That's me right there.
For sure. That's a very interesting answer. For sure, bro. Well, hey, JJ, what was it like for you growing up? And it's kind of like almost like a 3-part question, but growing up in the city, growing up in your household, and growing up with your family.
Okay. Wait, do I not want to do that? Hold on. Can this go one? Mm-hmm. Growing up, I'm the only child raised by my mom. So the next brothers that I basically had were my cousins. So my mom's sister, and they were literally in the same block. So we grew up in the same block all throughout my childhood. So for me, it was like that was family. Had my uncle who basically is like my dad, and my auntie who's basically my second mom. And then that's pretty much, And that's pretty much family for me. And then growing up was basically elementary school in Daly City. So I went through the public school route. And then high school jumped into to SI. So it's like a college prep. And then as I mentioned that I had never left the city, Daly City. So I went to USF. So for me, nothing extraordinary as far as me growing up. I think it's what you usually remember what it is, right? It's like watching fucking cartoons. You come home from school, and then as a Filipino, I think any Asian, you're supposed to do good in school. So that was pretty much it, man.
Awesome. And then, what was it like growing up in your household? What was that like being an only child?
Nothing. Again, I feel like nothing. Were you supposed to go? Did you go already?
No. It's like kind of like part 2 of the question. Yeah.
Nothing really extraordinary in the sense that, like, again, I never felt alone because I always felt like I had my cousins, and if not, I grew up with all my friends from elementary school, and we were pretty a tight knit like neighborhood. So there's always kids around, like in my block, and usually we're out playing. So for me in the household, it was everything that my mom could do to kind of fulfill both roles, and at the same time, her basically hustling and making it work, and buying the fucking Megazord that I still have, so things like that.
So this kind of ties in with our last question, but man, tell me about your mom.
All right. Let's see. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do that. Oh wait, fuck. Take backs.
Wait, what? That was a good move. What up here?
Oh wait, because they can only eat diagonal?
Sideways, yeah.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Shit. All right. Regarding my mom, she is obviously like a superwoman. From the time that I can remember, she's working. Luckily, my cousins being around the corner, I was kind of spending about half of the day over there, like after school. And yeah, kind of just instilled the hard work, right? Like your day in, day out, you got to do what you got to do to, make money and then obviously like raise a kid. So me now being a father, like I'm seeing how hard that is unless you have support. So fortunately for me and I guess for my mom, she had the support. And so always in gratitude for all the things that, that she's doing. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
And she still makes me food, Me.
That's really cool. No, for real. For real, because I've been thinking about that, man. Like I've been like, man, when's the last time I had like some real ass Filipino food? Like, it's been some time. You know what I mean? And so, what about like your cousins that you were close to? Tell me about them.
Yeah. I feel like,
and you can name drop them if you'd like.
Yeah. So it's basically Kuya Ron and Kuya Den. So I feel like I'm the middle child, or in the sense that like I kind of picked up on their attributes. So my the eldest one, so Ron or Francis, he's the one who's a little bit more like the frugal, the technical. He's like the accountant of the family. Whereas Guiden, he was the one the more artistic one, the one who was actually in like a boy band, like in high school and college, and the one who could dance, right? So I kind of like picked up on both attributes. And so, of course, they were immediately, a big influence as far as me growing up. So they're the ones who filled in terms of like teaching me how to throw a football, like enough where I always brag about it to my wife. I'm like, dude, you're with the quarterback of Daly City, man, of the flag football team, bro. Like I tried out and beat fucking 2 other kids, right? And so I learned how to toss a ball. Or my other cousin, with Kuiden, who taught me how to ride a bike. So these are the ones who kind of filled the roles of what I would say like a quote unquote, dad or father would do. So again, just in gratitude with those two who I grew up, who are basically my brothers.
Oh yeah. Is there anybody else who was like significant in your life that like stands out to you?
I think, in that regards of like family, it's always going to be like my Uncle Lito, and then, my auntie, Tita Lucy. So those are the ones are that makes the family that I know that's like the most immediate, right? The one where you're like, it wasn't a typical like mom and dad and then brother and sister. It was like my cousins and my auntie who completed that for me. So, but yeah, I feel like those are the ones other than like, the Lolo and Lolas who kind of filled in as well. So, but yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And I think I can definitely attest to that. Where like in the Filipino culture, where like you say you're only child, but you felt like you had siblings. I feel like I have hella siblings as well. Even though I only have 3 siblings, or I mean it's 3 of us and 2 siblings, I should say. But like I feel like I have like multiple older siblings, and I have a whole bunch of younger siblings and stuff. And it wasn't until truthfully, it wasn't until like later on when I started learning like how the family dynamic was. They're like, oh, that's why they're not my brother, right? And I was like, I thought you just call them cousin, like, but they're really your brother or whatever. I don't know, bro.
It's the beauty of the extended family. I feel like in the culture, I'm assuming it's kind of similar to others, but I feel like with Filipinos, it's usually the kuya, right? It's the kuya and the ates and the uncles, like the tito and tita. So they all like fill in, they all blend in, even though you're like technically not related. But I feel like there's a beauty in that for sure, of having that extended family, even though it's not by blood.
For sure, absolutely, bro. So take me through your morning routine.
Oh yeah, all right. Let's see here. I don't know. Why was that a bad move? Okay, all right, let's see. So morning routine. Lately, because of our baby girl who's over 2 right now, I've been waking up like super early because I'm the one who's primarily taking care of her in the morning. So for me, that means that we sleep roughly around 10:15, but I get up around like 5. Ideally, I'm up by like 4:30 or 4:45, and I've had it on my profile for like the longest time. But there's a coffee maker called AeroPress. The fun fact in that is it's made by the same guy who made the Arobi frisbee, like that squishy one. And so it's basically like a plunger. It's like a French press. And so I get beans from a roaster from Unnecessary Coffee or Necessary Coffee, and then freshly grind that, and I pour myself make myself a fresh cup, and then I'm off to turn on the computer and then just either editing or writing.
That's right. And what time did you say? Like what time would you usually like finish your morning?
Well, and that's why I have to wake up early, because our daughter wakes up ideally by 8, but I know now with preschool she's going to get up by like 7. So my morning quote unquote work hours is basically from the time I try to get up at 4:45 until like 7:30. So as of right now, I have a pretty good window of working, basically like almost 4 hours, like in the early ass morning. But that's the usual time.
Got you. It's my move, right? Checkmate.
What the fuck? Wait, am I done already?
Yeah.
Wait. Let's go back real
All right,
quick.
so I'll show you exactly how it was checkmated, right? So like this queen was right here, and I had this guy right here.
So
That was diagonal. So
either way, you would have.
Yeah. So if you eat me, I still got this guy.
Oh shit. Okay, wait.
So that would be it.
But then,
Go ahead.
wait, where was your piece before?
Oh, right here.
So what? So what I should have done was block.
Yeah, something, anything. You could have even put this way up here, and that would have like deterred me from making any move for at least for a little bit.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's why when you went and did this, I was like,
Oh, okay. I was more focused on like your reaction, like what's gonna happen to this guy. Oh, okay. All right. This is.
and I was already plotting on like I'm trying to take the king's head.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but and this is the only trick I know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
But I think I kind of forgot about protecting the queen, right?
the king.
The king.
Yeah, I mean I got your king. The queen caught your king. My queen.
Oh, okay. All right. We can run it again.
Right back to it.
We can run it again.
Run it again. Run it back. Two.
The only game that I'm good at is Smash Bros. So
that would be actually a dope
in general, I don't like losing. So we'll
do it again.
We'll try. I'll try again. I'm learning on the fly here.
Hell yeah. That's why all the different steps and the strategies.
Yeah.
Again, I'm super new. I have like maybe that much more because I'm YouTube a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it. Right.
That's cool though.
That's nothing. Right. What time of day do you do your best work? And you could make your first move. I would make this one. 2 steps. Yep, there. I'll show you what I did.
All right. I think it would have to be in the morning because wife is still sleeping. Emails are still going through as far as like all the emails and all the markers and whatnot. But at least I'm more focused. Fresh cup of coffee for me, and then no one is texting me typically around that time. That's where I do my best work.
Gotcha. How did you get into the industry you're in?
How to get in the industry? Well, I'm thinking back. All right. Okay. So in 2003 or 2, I found my mom's camera. So most beginners, they know, or like beginners of film photography, they know what the Pentax K1000 is. It's like this built like a tank. Like my mom got it, what, 60s or something like that. Built like a tank. It's all mechanical. It does not require a battery, but it does have like a meter for you to figure out your exposure. So I shot like a few rolls. You know, you tend to just go around, take pictures of like flowers and shit. And you're like, all right, this is cool. And then my high school classmate, so we were sophomores at the time, 2003, and him, we're obviously less, you know, below 18, but he wanted to throw some teen parties like in San Francisco. And so he was like, hey, I need someone to take some photos. So I remember this because I had to take my own cash, went to Ritz Camera and Ceremony. Obviously, they're not there. And it was like a 2 megapixel camera, a Nikon 2100. Bought a memory card that was, what is it, 96 megabytes for like $95, which is,
No,
think about that today.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like you can
Why would
get,
anyone do that?
yeah, you can get a lot more than today, right? So
sure.
started with that, and then basically he paid me really well every gig because almost every, like, I think it was like 2 Fridays a month, if not at least once a month. From what I remember, he was paying me like 200-300, I think. And I'm like, as a high school kid, I'm like, that's pretty good money. And then just kept upgrading from there. So for me, it was the event. You know, I got into photography because of events. Most times when you get into event photography, you end up doing portraits. So you combine the both of them, you end up doing weddings. So that was my track. It was teen club events. I was doing portraits on the side for fun with friends. And then shot my first wedding around like 17 years old. Not the best, I will say. And then other than that, yeah, that's how I pretty much started.
Tell me about your biggest failure and how and what did you learn from it? And I'm going to make my move here.
I'm just going to copy. We'll see where it takes me. Biggest failure, I mean, I think I'm just going to go back. I don't know if it was the biggest failure of my entire career, so to speak, but I think one of the biggest failures I had for sure was in the beginning, that first wedding that I shot. So I think this is the part where, like, when you're able to take a big step, right, like up to the plate, so to speak, ideally you hit a home run. But I remember, you know, it was my first wedding, and, you know, when the bride walks down the aisle, basically missed those shots. Like, it was like out of focus. I'm like, fuck. I think that's probably the biggest. I mean, one of the biggest fails. I feel like I failed a few times, but I think that just comes to mind because I'm thinking back when I started. So, at the time, that was the Minolta Dimage, Dimage A1. It was like this $1,400 camera. So again, this is like a high school getting this camera, and I thought it was gonna be really great. It touted as like its first like autofocusing. I don't know. I forgot why. Like the world's first whatever camera. But yeah, that was probably one of the first, I guess, big mistake that I've had.
And I think with that, I think we're going to go ahead and take a quick intermission right here, and then we'll go ahead and come back with part 2. All right? Bring in the marching band.
Hey, this is for the second half, so it's not too hard. It's not too hard in post if you didn't have that.
Hell yeah. We were just thinking about doing that. I had somebody that was like talking about, oh yeah, you got to get one of them.
Yeah, the clapboards, yeah.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, sure, let's do this, man. Is it, I think it's my move. So.
See, that's a question that I like. The traits that someone needs to have in my industry as a photographer, I think this is the one thing that I always ask a student, because I've had a few students who've like kind of shadowed, and like a teacher from like a local high school was like, hey, can the student shadow? The one thing I always ask them right away is, do you want to make money off of it? As in, do you want to make money off of photography or video? And the reason why I ask that is because you don't need me to teach you photography. I think right now the resources are so limitless with like YouTube and blogs and all that stuff. So everything you can learn about photography is all out there, right? But I think the things that people forget about is to make money off of it is a business. So for me, the one trait I feel like you would need to have as a photographer, to clarify that, as a professional photographer or cinematographer, is having a business acumen. Like if that's a trait, that would be it. To expand a little bit about that, it's like knowing your numbers. It's knowing, body language. I talk a lot about body language, and also the ability to sell. Because your pretty ass pictures, they're great. They'll get you the likes, they'll get you some attention, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's making you money. So I always feel like there's other photographers out there who are like, oh, I can do that. Like, I'm pretty sure you could. Like, there's no doubt about, I can give you the settings on how to do a portrait, right? Like, I can give you exact numbers for you to follow. But the biggest difference is, how are you getting paid? How is one photographer getting paid, let's say $100 for a headshot, while one is making $550, $600 for like one shot? So for me, it's the business acumen.
Thank you, bro. JJ, what is your sign, sir? And how do you think it kind of affects you or makes you who you are as a photographer, a successful photographer? Check.
Oh, shit. So as long as... Wait, so he can eat going cross, right?
Mm.
Oh, I see. Okay. So if I move this here, no.
So he can only go forward.
Four.
Right? So like, let's say he was here, then you could eat him, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So now my assumption is if I move this, this is diagonal, right?
Mm.
So if I do this, you would eat and then I would eat.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean,
Or like, that's if you...
Yeah, it would just be an eating war at that point. Yeah. But I'm not. Yeah, I'm plotting on you. Plotting on your demise, sir.
Okay.
Cool. So, what was your sign, and how do you think it makes you who you are?
I know very little with zodiacs and signs and stuff. I know that I'm a Libra.
Okay.
I know that it's scales. So I'm just going to go off of like, if the definition of that, again, unless you know more about it, feel free to shed some light. But for me, if it is representative of the scales, I feel like it's always a balance that I've been trying to find, right? So like, I'm the stay-at-home dad, but I still work, like, still crazy. That's what I feel like. Like, there's something that I'm doing all the time. If I'm eating, like, I'm usually reading a book. Like, there's some type of balance of like relaxation, but also working at the same time. So I don't know if that is the same thing with Libra.
That's great. Yeah. That is an awesome answer, bro. You said balance. And I believe that's the literal sign, right?
Yep.
Like it's a balancing scale. So yeah. What do most people misunderstand about you?
I don't know what to do. So wait, real quick. They can't move over. The only one who can move over is the horse, right? All right. Misunderstood straight right.
Yeah. What do people misunderstand about you most?
I think what most people misunderstand is, I feel like from the outside is, how do you think about that? I think the ones who know me the most will know that, like, I'm the one to crack a lot of jokes. I think what most people, I'm going to answer for those people, the ones that can know me the most. I would say is they probably misunderstand that, like, underneath all of that is basically me doing. I think I don't know. I don't know how to even answer that question because I feel like, what do most people misunderstand about me? I just think there's a couple layers I feel like that I have. One I was alluding to, which is I have like the fun, like I'll like, swear and have fun and say like stupid shit and do, fun things and crazy shit to make that laugh, right? But I think the other part is a lot of the times I'm always thinking about business and marketing. So I don't know if that really answers it. I just feel like if I met someone new, I think I probably wouldn't give off that other layer, like that vibe right away. Like, oh shit, like he knows a lot about body language. Like he knows a lot about selling. He knows a lot about that stuff, even though they may just know that, like, I do photos and video. So I think that's probably it. I have to figure out about that answer, but yeah.
That's a good question. What's the biggest lesson your career has taught you thus far?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I think the biggest lesson that my career has taught me so far is how about this? It's a lesson. Let me start off with that while I think about the biggest lesson. The lesson for sure that I know, if you've probably heard that phrase or saying is like, you don't burn bridges. I'll allude right away that for a photographer, at least for a cinematographer, a lot of times, like, you don't actually know where your next gig is. And I think that probably is true for a lot of like freelancers. So let me just wrap that up under as a freelancer. So as a freelancer, a lot of times you really don't know your next gig unless you're on a retainer. With that being said, part of it is you get hired for several things. The last one actually is your ability, like your actual skill to do it, because you wouldn't have been in the conversation to begin with, right, if you weren't capable of it. So that being said, for me at least, you typically get hired because they either enjoy working with you or they want to work with you because they know you're enjoyable. It's not really about, again, my opinion, it's not really about your skill. They're hiring you because they're hiring like literally you, your personality, your demeanor, the way you run a show, the way that you run a photo shoot in my regard. But it's really less about like, oh, he knows like his photography. He knows how to do that shot. He knows how to do the portrait. It's like, well, no shit. Like, I wouldn't be in the conversation to begin with, right? So when you have two different people, for example, vying for the same job, I think it comes down to what is your work ethic and how are you, how are you actually conducting, yourself on a job. So I think for me, the lesson there is the way that you work is basically you have to work as if all the eyes are always on you. I think one of the mistakes I just remember right now is I was part of an agency before. I was doing like event coverage, and one of them was for Zynga. You remember Zynga, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, as a photographer, to be fair, as a photographer, you're not supposed to eat, or rather, you have your meal, but you're like somewhere, right? You take a break and you eat somewhere else, right? But being at a party, it was like for a party at Zynga, their headquarters, there's like food and drink everywhere. So I'm like roaming around as a photographer, I'm like taking pictures, and I'm like, cool, I'm just gonna grab a quick bite. Like I just grab a bite. And then one of the persons working there was like, hey, you're not supposed to be eating. So again, the lesson there is you don't know who's actually watching you. So you, in my opinion, when you start to work, again, in my field, you have to know that one way or the other, someone is looking at you, the way that you work. So I can only imagine, I don't know how far, the conclusion would be for that example, but I could imagine that person is like, hey, there was a photographer here for an event. Let's not hire him. Like, just like that.
Like that, yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know if that was the case again, but I'm just saying, like, if someone saw me and that was my work ethic, like, I'm there for the party, I'm there as a photographer, I'm the official photographer, and I'm supposed to know the rules to eat during my break and to not eat in front of the guests. And for me, I'm like, well, it was a small bite. But for them, it's like, no, that's not how we work here, right? So I think that's a thing that I remember about when I started in photography.
Yeah. This is kind of funny how these questions kind of line up, bro, because like if you could meet your 18-year-old self again, right, what advice would you give yourself?
Can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, okay. I still don't know what I'm doing. But if I could meet myself when I was 18 years old, right, what advice would I give? Well, at that time, I'm at USF basically as a freshman, as a nursing student. And so, long story short, I did graduate from USF as a nursing student. So that's with a BSN. So I think the advice that I would give is
a fucking trip, bro. You know how many nurses are out there right now, like fucking fighting to get into programs, and you just have.
That's what Trey said.
That's so crazy.
So I was dating, a girlfriend who's not my wife. She was so annoyed because she came from state, and it took her like 2.5 years to actually get into the nursing program at USF. And she was like, "You're there at class. You're like looking at photography blogs. You're like looking at gear review, and you're not doing your work. Like you're not." Basically, she said it nicely. She was like, "There's other people who deserve a better spot, who deserve your spot," and I don't disagree with that. But I think the advice that I would give is, I'll say it with this because you can always say it with the hindsight, knowing how your level of success is right now, because it's easier to say, right, to give advice when you are at a certain level of success. But I think it would be, if you're hungry enough, if you were set out to do photography, right? Yes, it's going to be hard to not do what your mom or your parent tells you to do, because it's the sage advice, to do something that is safe, or at least somewhat guaranteed. But then again, there's always job cuts, right? Every job, any place you go, there's always gonna be job cuts. So I think that advice is basically, if you're hungry enough, you're gonna figure out how to make that shit work. I think part of it is me being comfortable with knowing that it was a safer route, and so that's probably why I ended up. Yeah. Oh yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
My bad.
There you go. Yeah. So part of it is basically knowing how, rather, what you want to do, and I think if you can lay out like at least a few steps before that, like in front of you, like, hey, here's my action 1, 2, and 3, and so forth. I think that's a lot better than being too afraid to actually like take that first step. Mm-hmm. So that's the advice I would probably give, is like, maybe I could have saved a lot of time if I didn't go to school for 4 years and I'm not using it. But what if in those 4 years, I was maybe in like in an art program or photography program or something like, or even business, doing something more that I know that is going to be applicable today for what I'm doing now. So I would say that's the advice.
Bro, that's big, man. Especially being Filipino, and I don't know if nursing was like your passion, right? Or if it was something that was pushed on you, because I know it was definitely pushed on me as well. And I don't know if it's just a thing for Filipinos to push it on their kids, right? But it's almost like looked down upon to be a creative in the Filipino community, even though Filipinos are so fucking creative. Mm-hmm. It's always like, you got to pursue the safe route. But it's like, man, like the passion that you have for that creativeness that that's inside of you. Like, there's so much to give to the world.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is, right, now, we're both parents, right? So it's like, part of it is you want the best interest. So unless you're able to already feed, your kid with like the golden spoon, with a gold spoon, right? It's like, or silver spoon, that's what they say. So unless you're able to feed your kid with your own silver spoon, then you probably don't care as much. Like, I mean, I take that back. You're gonna care, of course, the well-being of your kid, but if you're financially sound, the ability to take more risks, or rather for the kid to take more risks, is probably gonna be a wider range. But like, if you're working day in and out, where you're trying to either meet ends meet, or you're making just enough to get through and pay for everything, it's like, you always gonna want the kid to do better.
I see.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't blame, my mom and maybe the other moms and dads out there who are like, oh, do this instead type of thing. It is hard. I would say for sure, where it's like, it's that level of uncertainty. And that's the part where, as a parent, it's like, you want to eliminate all that, right? Like, when I think about like our daughter, I'm like, is this place safe? Like, is her shoes tied? Is everything that would prevent her from tripping and getting a scrape?
Yeah,
Let me check off everything in my head right now, right? So, regarding to a career, I think a parent would know. In my opinion, I think a parent would know if their kid is good, and I would hope that when I'm in that situation where I find like a little speck of talent, like, I'm gonna just feed that.
Yeah.
Right. I ideally wouldn't want to suppress it and be like, oh no, don't do that because there's no money in it. But you think about the other people who are successful in the field. It's like, no, there's a way to make money off of it. Like, there is. It's just not direct. I can't tell you that this is how much you'll make, unlike a typical W2 job, right? Mm-hmm. Is like, how much you'd make coming into a job.
Right.
And I think, again, when I think about it, it's that level of uncertainty that, as a parent, they're just trying to eliminate.
I agree, bro. That's very, yeah. That's like great perspective, bro. Thank you for that. JJ, what do you think? And it's kind of like a 2-part question, or maybe even a 3-part question. What do you think the world will be like in 5 years? What do you think the camera world is going to be like in 5 years? And what do you think JJ's world is going to be like in 5 years?
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out if this is going to be a good move because I could take my first. I'm like trying to figure out what's going to happen after, but I'm going to take it because it's going to be the first time in history, bro.
Took my motherfucking night.
I'm like, I took the horse. I don't even know the names of it. What's going to be like in 5 years? Well, let's start off with, I'm into tech a whole lot, so I'm going to start off there. We'll see how Zuckerberg's metaverse pans out. Maybe something like this is going to be us like wearing headsets. Like I have like the Quest 2, so I play occasionally. So maybe like this is going to be less. I personally prefer it. But we'll see how that world looks like. I think the whole AR stuff is going to be out there. I'm a lost child with my Waze and Google Maps, right? So what if I'm wearing my sunglasses and I get my directions from there? So I think obviously tech is always going to get better, be faster. Things will get smaller. The batteries will last longer. We'll see how the EV world is. But in terms of camera, and I think this is like an interesting space right now because we're already seeing it. Like things can be shot on the phones and the quality is getting much better, and all that stuff. But I do think the question that lies is like, what's the future of actual content creators? So as of right now, like I think I'm able to say like I'm a copywriter. Like I've been writing a lot for sales and for marketing, and I do that for clients and whatnot. So I feel like the space that I know right now that's really changing is like AI copywriting. So I don't know if you've seen that where you plug in a few words and like it shoots out all that stuff, right? It's all powered by the GPT-3 engine. So for images, it's kind of happening already. There's this thing called Daly, if you saw that as well. So it's a thing where you could probably put like keywords like chessboard game, match in the style of Picasso. And the engine will just generate a new image, like original. Like the computer and the AI and all that shit will do it. So I know for sure as a copywriter, it mixes, or rather blurs the lines of like, well, how does my job get affected with stuff that can get generated like from a computer? As a graphic artist, again, the question is like, well, where do I belong if someone can just say, hey, I need an image, and they just input like keywords and they get like an original image. As a photographer and cinematographer, there's always going to be a need for that. But in regards to in 5 years, what does AI look like in that space? Like, what if a whole movie or whatever, an image was just generated from that, like stock images, right? So traditionally, photographers, they just shoot like the shit out of the world, and then they sell it, and then they get paid for that. But what if the AI engines, like like Unreal? Like I don't play video games, but Unreal, like the one that does the engine, the graphics engine, like they're making shit look so real right now. So that is going to get better. So maybe in those 5 years, like original, videographers or cinematographers, like they probably are going to get phased out, or at least again, it's going to be like, if you're a content creator, where do you belong? At the same time, how do you utilize stuff that's generated from AI into your work?
Yeah.
So that's where I see in 5 years where it's going to be at, it's going to be a lot of it's going to be driven by like AI generation stuff, and it's going to be for the good or for the worse.
That's big, man. Thank you, bro. If you could be remembered for anything, what would it be?
If I could be remembered, what was the question?
If you could be remembered for anything, what would it be?
If I could be remembered for anything, I think first would be the greatest dad, to our daughter. It's going to be that first. And then from there, I always got to put family first. So I'm gonna roll that all in. So dad, husband, son, all of that. That's always going to be first. After that, it's going to be photographer. That's what I've been doing. And then I think what gets rolled in as well is going to be a copywriter, marketer. I think those three right now have been my work pillars, so to speak. So I have my hand on in those three right now. So if I want to be remembered, it's going to be I basically help generate sales. I help move product because I had my hand in those three.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, hey, man, we're wrapping it up. But before we go, bro, JJ, where can the people find you, dog?
Yeah, you can definitely find me on Instagram. I think that's probably going to be the first channel that most people are using at the moment. And so it's J Joseph, so JJASEF. In there, I got some links to my portfolio. So you'll see my work with some portraits that I've done. That's jcasasphotography.com. Again, you'll see some links with my work to also video. The company that I started called 845. And lastly, it's going to be a newsletter that I've been writing. Mm-hmm. So
subscribe.
Thank you, man. So it's called Selling Sales. So that's pretty much where you can find me. I think, again, I'm just going to be stressing a little bit more with selling sales because that's what moves. Yep. You got to be able to sell shit, man. Yep. So no matter who you are, what you do, a lot of it is going to be selling. Oh yeah. So yeah.
Awesome, man. JJ, thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks.
Appreciate it.